Hey guys, I just want to give you a heads up. Anybody that lives in the U.S. and owns a firearm, we've talked about for a number of years here about the Democrats, coming for our guns, and usually everybody's like, oh no, they would never do that. They'd never register, your guns. They'd never take them away. Blah 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 blah. Well, here's something that should be pretty alarming to anybody who believes in the Second Amendment and owns firearms and. Anybody that I guess has common sense, because this is going to be held against you. So a bill was introduced in the House by Sheila Lee. She's a Democrat out of Texas. And this is all about licensing and registering firearms. I'm just going to go through this really quick and give you just some of the highlights here as I read these things. And you can just look this up on your own. Just Google like HR 127. It'll take you right to the congressional website where you can actually read the proposed text of this bill. So here's what we've got going on. Basically, what this would do is set up a mandatory registration of firearms. It would limit firearm ownership to people who are 21 and older. And I think right now it's 18 and older. But you'd be required to, you have to give them a make, model, serial number, and who, identify who's got it, who owns it, or who you loaned it to. If you've got it on loan to somebody, you have to, they're going to keep a database, obviously, of this stuff. And you also need to let them know where it's located. I forgot where I read this, but you have to be at least 21 years of age. You have to get a license. So that means background check. And by the way, in addition to a background check, which you have to do when you buy a new firearm, you have to undergo a psychological evaluation. Okay? That should send up huge red flags. And you have to complete a training course. But this psychological evaluation is going to cause some issues here, because the new Health and Human Services transgender man, woman that is in there has already pushed for making it a mental illness if you think that transgender men, women aren't a different sex. That's going to be deemed to be a mental illness. So if you take issue with that, with biology, you are going to be deemed to be mentally ill and not fit to be able to own a firearm. You need to let them know, even if you have an old firearm, like where it's going to be stored, where it's going to be displayed. Military style weapons, by the way, you have to have a separate license, and military style is anything that sounds scary, but basically it's pretty much every type of firearm that most people have. So you can't have any kind of issues like mentally, or they're really going to screw you over. You won't be able to own firearms, but you have to be able to let's see. You have to have insurance. Okay, for this, you gotta have insurance. And military style weapons, you have to have a special license for this. This is basically pretty much anything that people have, for sporting stuff that's very popular in the US. Basically your AR-15s, anything basically, semi-automatic pistols. From what I understand, like, this would cover probably a huge swath of semi-automatic rifles and pistols, the way they define this stuff. So, take a look at it. They don't want you to basically have anything that sounds like beyond like a 22. So really interesting, huge penalties for this, like massive fines and prison time. So you can't give it to your kid if they aren't licensed to have it. They didn't pass the background check and have a psychological evaluation and official government training, and they don't tell the government where they're going to keep their ammunition. By the way, too, it's like this covers ammunition as well. It's not just firearms; it's ammunition. They want to know where you are going to be storing your firearms and your ammo. Anybody who has lived in a country that has first taken away its citizens' firearms and civilians' means to defend themselves, and then has lived through a government that has become tyrannical, knows that this kind of stuff is a dangerous first step. And this is what we're seeing in the US right now. This is the danger, the problem with having the Democrats control the White House, the Senate, and the House. And this kind of stuff can get jammed through and put into law. And, then it would be stuck in courts in terms of like legal opposition to it. But while it's being opposed, it might still be the law of the land. Now, if you are a firearm owner, something like this, it should alarm you immensely. And, if the time comes where something like this would be passed, you're going to have to figure out what you're going to want to do. I mean, you might get so pissed off that you might just, like, for example, throw all your firearms away and just say, fuck it. You're not going to, you don't want to, basically, you're giving these things up to the government. I know you're not handing them over. They're going to say, well, government's not requiring you to hand these over. But when the government is asking you for where you're going to have this stuff stored and requiring you to do certain things, and I guarantee you that when you get a license for it, it's not going to be a permanent one. It's going to be something that has to be renewed every year, every couple of years. And what they're going to do is they're going to up the requirements every single year. They're going to increase the fees associated with firearm license. They're probably going to charge you more for certain types of ammunition or certain types of magazines, for example, if you have quote unquote high capacity magazines. And usually they keep what they consider a normal size magazine is like 5 rounds. And if you got an AR-15, you got like a 15 round mag. That to them would be considered a high capacity magazine. So just expect this thing to be coming. I have no doubt this stuff, if the Democrats are left unchecked and they do not get major pushback from the people, we're going to see this stuff get pushed through Congress and become the law of the land this year. I would be surprised if it took more than a year for this stuff to actually happen. So just a heads up, something to keep in mind. And I think this stuff is really important. When I see stuff like this, I'll let you know, but check it out for yourself. Just read the text of, HR 127. It's been submitted. It's, nobody's voted on it yet, but I would not be surprised to see this stuff go through Congress and pass with flying colors. Anyway, thought I'd keep you guys informed. You guys take care. Have a good evening, and I'll do another video probably tomorrow on different stuff. Take care, guys. Bye.